The next thing I want to talk about is our introduction of the new characters, which is Black Panther and of course Spider-Man. Black Panther, aka T'Challa, was introduced when they were doing the whole hearing for the signing of the Sokovia Accords, and this is where his motivation gets kicked in, because there was a bomb that was set off like outside the building, and unfortunately his father got caught in the blast. And that's when they blame Bucky Barnes. Anybody who's familiar with Black Panther knows how much his father T'Chaka meant to him. So his motivation of trying to go after the person who killed his father, it makes sense. And the thing is about his character is that he was relentless. He did not want to hear that BS. He wanted that man's head. Whenever Black Panther is on screen, whether it's fighting or otherwise, like, he has a very strong presence there. Especially when he's fighting, because it seemed to be that every fight that he was in, he made sure that he was mainly on the offensive whenever possible. There was not very often when he had to go on the defensive. He was always on the offensive, and I like that about his character. I just find it interesting that, in a sense, the fighting styles kind of match with the characters' personalities. And as relentless as Black Panther was, I think it really fit. And the interesting thing is that, like, it wasn't really a situation where he, you know, really shout out or really just raise his voice a lot. He was always cool demeanored. And that just really gave you a sense of kind of like it's a calm before the storm kind of situation. And that's what made Black Panther very interesting in this movie.
Oh, you're acting like such a Black Panther mark right now, FM.
Well, Marv, please explain to me what is not to like about Black Panther.
Alright, point taken.
As far as introductions go, one person really didn't need that much of introduction. That is this man right here. We got introduced to Peter Parker first. And what I am most glad about is the fact that we spent enough time with Peter when he was talking with Tony to really get a sense of who he is as a person. We didn't really need to have like a huge backstory. We just needed to know, okay, who is this kid? What's he like? What's his motivation? And I think that they hit the nail on the head really well with this for the time that they gave him. And I think the Russo brothers did a really good job with this. Like, I cannot complain about this at all.
He still didn't say with great power comes great responsibility, though.
Like, between 5 movies and like 2 to 3 different animations involving Spider-Man, I mean, do we need to hear the whole with great power comes great responsibility speech? The way they did it was subtle, but also it felt genuine. It didn't feel forced. You could tell that there was something there. And obviously, we're not going to get introduced to a lot of that until his movie comes out next year. But the way they did it, I felt respected the character and it respected the source material. When I was in the theater, I had no reservations about this kid whatsoever. I already did a video about him before, and you know, that's neither here nor there, but still, I felt that this kid, Tom Holland, nailed Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and needless to say, I can't wait to see Spider-Man Homecoming next year.
Andrew Garfield was still dope, though.
Marv, you're just gonna continue running that into the ground, aren't you?
That's how I feel, damn it!
Now, to segue to talking about the airport scene, I have to say that is probably one of the top superhero action scenes that we have ever gotten on the big screen. Even though there's still a lot going on, it still doesn't feel very overstuffed. Everything still finds a way to feel balanced. Nothing seems to overshadow one thing over the other. Like, everybody involved seems to get their fair share of some spotlight, like they do. Like, nobody feels left out. Of course, it can be debated when Ant-Man turned into Giant Man, though. That was a surprise I don't think anyone expected.
Yeah, little guy grows big. He's big now.
Like, all the action as a whole always seemed to hit its mark. There was never a dull moment when the action was happening. You knew exactly what was going on, and you were right there, essentially on the edge of your seat, trying to see what was going to happen next. It pulled you in, and it just worked. Like, it was fun, but at the same time, it was serious. Like, they have a way of balancing the two, and it never fails. Now, I just want to go back and touch on Tony's motivation for what he was doing again. And one of the things that he tried to do that kind of culminated to like the whole team up on both sides was, of course, the disagreement on signing of the Accords. But then there was the whole thing where he basically ordered Vision to keep Wanda at the Avengers headquarters, which obviously didn't sit very well with Wanda. So like at that point, it's kind of like, Tony, was that really a good idea? Because you kind of having this done without her say so. So it's just like you kind of making rules up as you go, essentially. I mean, overall, the movie was a far cry from the original Civil War comic book, because there were some things that Tony did in the comic book that made you was thinking like, what the hell are you doing, Tony? There was a part in the movie where Cap and Tony were talking again, and he almost convinced Cap to sign it until he told him about like Wanda still being in Avengers headquarters, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back as far as Cap was concerned.
Well, Tony did have this whole thing about the best interest in the public, so I mean, you can't really knock him for that.
Yeah, but Tony also admitted that some of the stuff he was doing was to ease his own conscience, so it's like, yeah. Now, the only issue I kind of had was when they did the big reveal at the end. And it's not to say that the setup for it wasn't good, because what essentially happens was, at the beginning of the movie, they show the whole process on how they give Winter Soldier orders. And it's like this whole thing where they recite certain words in certain orders, and it basically programs Winter Soldier to do their bidding. And they show him go out on a mission, and he caused his car to crash. And apparently it was holding some kind of cargo, but he was also supposed to kill any witnesses. It so happens those witnesses were Tony's parents. Now, when they revealed it at the end, when they were trying to corner Baron Zemo, apparently that place still had like all this, I'm assuming it was supposed to be recovered evidence of anything involving Winter Soldier, and so happened they had archive of that event there, and he showed it on the screen, and Tony, Cap, and Bucky were like right there looking at it, and Tony actually sat there and watched his parents get killed by the Winter Soldier, and at that point, Tony wanted Winter Soldier's head. See, the interesting thing is that Cap apparently knew that Winter Soldier was sent to kill his parents, and he didn't tell Tony. And the only thing I've been able to gather is during the past 2 years when he was looking for Bucky, maybe he came across that information, not sure when or how, but apparently he kept it to himself because he didn't want Tony to just basically just have straight tunnel vision and just wanted Bucky out of the way.
Oh, Captain America made a mistake. Wow, surprise.
Yeah, it's something that Cap is definitely at fault for, but it's something that he took full responsibility for after the fact. So I still gotta give credit where credit is due as far as that goes. So when thinking about the situation, this is something I felt could have been resolved had they really have talked it out. But I guess when you kind of know a person for so long and you know what their tendencies are with certain things, one person's gonna have one course of action for it, and then you'll have the other party which they have their course of action. So with Tony being, like egomaniacal as he is, he can tend just, take the easy way out.
Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Did you just use a quote from The One?
It's math, FM. Try to keep up, buddy.
You know what, Marv? Now, before I conclude the video, I just wanted to talk about like a few tidbits that I thought were interesting about the movie. When they're at Peggy Carter's funeral, they reveal that Agent Sharon Carter is actually Peggy Carter's niece. She gave this heartfelt speech, and I couldn't help but notice that they kind of quoted from a speech that Captain America originally had during the actual Civil War arc, which I thought was a nice little touch. And if you haven't really known by now, Sharon Carter is also Captain America's love interest in the comic books, and they kind of alluded that in the Winter Soldier, but Steve never followed up with it because he was kind of like in this whole mode when he wanted to be lost in his work. But in this movie, they actually had that love interest go somewhere for a change. Yep, used to be in love with the aunt, now he's in love with the niece that's 70 years his junior. The man has been frozen in ice for 7 decades. The man isn't really any different from somebody in their early 30s.
Yeah, whatever, cradle robber.
Marv, grow up. The other interesting scenes are the post-credit scenes. Now, the first scene shows Cap and Bucky talking, and Bucky makes up his mind that the best thing for them to do is to put him back on ice until they can figure out how to undo all of that Hydra mind programming. And they also revealed that the place in question is Wakanda. So Cap and T'Challa are on good terms, and T'Challa basically comes to the conclusion that Bucky as well as his own father were victims of this whole little situation, whatever. So it's basically the least that he could do for him. And I thought that was an awesome reveal. The second scene shows Peter at home with Aunt May, and they're talking, and he has this little tech on his wrist, which I assume Tony gave him. And when they reveal it, it's basically like blue. It seems like it shows the spider logo, and I can only assume that it's maybe some blueprint for him to make a new suit of some kind. So we could have something very cool to look forward to once Spider-Man Homecoming comes around.
Yeah, maybe they have Andrew Garfield play his uncle.
Marv, you were riding Andrew Garfield really hard, bro.
He was still the best, damn it.
Yeah, so anyway, guys, that pretty much does it for the spoiler review. I had a really great time watching this movie. I've been anticipating it since they announced it 2 years ago, and it's just, I've basically been looking forward to it ever since. I can't wait to see what else they do, and that's pretty much all I can really say as far. I'm still anticipating more. So you guys, go ahead and post in the comments. Let me know what you thought about the movie, what some of your favorite parts were, what other MCU stuff that you're looking forward to, or just whatever you're looking forward to in general. Can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to respond to you guys. So go ahead, like, subscribe, all those wonderful things, and I will check you guys until the next video. Until then, you keep following my advice to go nerd, but nerd responsibly. This is your boy, Fallen Marvel,
And I'm the ecstatic Marv.
and family, we are out.